Hey everyone, this week we're doing some exotic bird photography with the Nikon 300mm f4 lens. So this is a follow-up to a previous video I did here at the Tropical Butterfly House in Sheffield. On that occasion I was capturing images of the butterflies with a macro lens. I'll put a link up top to that video if you want to go back and watch that. But today I'm going to be capturing images of tropical exotic birds because they also have a birdhouse here just behind me. So I'm going to head in there now and see what birds I can find. So this is a great lens for this kind of thing because it's got really great reach at 300mm, and in fact on the D500 body that's equivalent to 450mm on a full frame camera. So I can really get in close at the birds and not have to get too close to them so I frighten them. But because of the phase fresnel element inside of this lens, it means it's really light and really manoeuvrable. I can use it handheld and it's not massive and getting in the way of everybody else who's here. So there are loads of great exotic birds here, but they're hiding a little bit just behind the bushes and trees and things. But when they pop out, I'm getting some really good shots of those. It is quite low light in here, so I'm having to bump up my ISO quite a lot and drop my aperture to its widest setting at f4. But I'm hoping this lens will be able to cope with that on the D500. And yeah, fingers crossed we get some good shots. It is really hot in here, and to be honest it's really uncomfortable, but it's worth it because there's such a range of birds and wildlife. There are geckos and turtles, so it's really fantastic and I'm getting some good shots. The focal length is just a little bit too long to be honest, but I am able to get some good shots, and I've had much more success by setting the range limiter switch to full rather than 3 meters to infinity, because a lot of the subjects are just a bit closer than 3 meters. But yeah, some really great subjects. Most of the time I'm using matrix metering, and that's doing a really good job. However, there are just a few occasions where I'm pointing upwards, and because we're in a greenhouse with the glass and the light coming through, where that is a background behind the birds, it's really bright, so I'm switching to spot metering so that I've got the bird properly metered rather than the background. because I am so close to my subject, I'm finding that I am needing to focus, perhaps on the eye for example, and then reframe my shot to fit everything in. And back button focus is really useful for that. So I'm using AF on here, this button with my thumb to focus, and the shutter button is not actually set to focus. So I can focus with this on the eye, take my thumb away, and then I'm ready. Once I've recomposed my shot and got everything in the frame, I can then click the shutter button, but nothing will refocus and I'm still focused in on that eye. So that's really useful, and I recommend doing that on your camera if you're capturing wildlife shots. Even though most of the birds are quite stationary, I am using continuous autofocus mode. That means that if they do happen to fly away as I'm focusing on them, I'll still keep them in focus as they move through the frame. And it doesn't really matter too much anyway with back button focus, because I can focus once, take my thumb off the button, and then it works in a similar way to single shot autofocus anyway, so you've kind of got 2 in 1 with back button focus. I'm trying to maintain a shutter speed of 1/400th to 1/500th of a second, just because with this focal length you don't want to go much below that, or you're going to start getting camera shake and a bit of blur in your image. That means I'm having to raise my ISO quite a bit, but I should be able to get rid of any noise and grain using denoise software when I edit these in post. There are some really colourful parrots or cockatoos just over here between the branches, so that's why I keep turning around to see if I can get a good shot of those. They're very colourful. And my aperture, sometimes I'm having to drop that to the widest aperture possible just to get enough light into the camera. But where possible, I am narrowing the aperture just to sharpen my image a bit. You get the sweetest spot around f8, but I'm going from around about f5 up to f7.1 where I can and where there's enough light. And that's giving me a really nice sharp shot. So the image stabilization seems to work really well in this as well. So that allows me just to drop my shutter speed a little bit where necessary, and I still get some fairly sharp images. But that's about it now. I've got some really good shots. I've really enjoyed my time here today, and I can't wait to get these back on the computer and edit those. You'll have seen them already throughout the video, so I hope they look good. I really do recommend coming out to these places. The Tropical Butterfly House here in Sheffield is fantastic. If you live nearby, I recommend it. It's great for butterflies obviously, but also the birds you've seen today and lots of other wildlife as well. And if you've got one near to you, anywhere else in the country, get out to it because you can get some fantastic images here. So that's about it. Massive thanks for watching, as always. If you are new to the channel and you're not yet subscribed and you'd like to do so, you can just click down there on the big red button, or over here on this picture of me. That way you'll stay up to date with everything I'm doing each and every week. There's a new video every Sunday morning at 10 AM UK time. So I hope you'll join me next week for the next one. But until then, thanks a lot everyone, and bye for now.